type of marketing, where we speak of our advantages, the fact that we're the birthplace of Hollywood and the film industry. When do we start posturing ourselves so that we can compete with these other locations that are taking away our businesses? Is there anything specific in mind that we can point to?
Well, I think
Please hold my time.
It began with the Ugly Betty report in the recommendations to create a website that starts providing information about how we're filming in Los Angeles, and the recommendations before you today actually address marketing very specifically and finding a way to market what LA is doing, what LA is offering. When you look at what other cities are offering, the city of Los Angeles is doing a lot of the same kinds of things. We're just not letting people know that we're doing it. And in some of the meetings that we've had with location managers who have not been filming in Los Angeles for years, they're coming in and they're hearing about the things that we're doing, and they're saying, I didn't know that you did that. I didn't know you would do that for me. And they're learning now that Los Angeles is offering services, offering ways to facilitate their permits and facilitate their productions in ways that they hadn't seen in the past. So with your actions today and actions that you've initiated with the Ugly Betty report, you are moving in a direction now of having the departments facilitate working closely with Film LA to make sure that this information is available and resolving the issues that are coming up.
Saying it won't be as easy as it sounds, District 5 council member and former state assemblyman Paul Koretz says the majority of the state legislature does not understand the importance of filmmaking to the economy.
So I worked on this issue for the 6 years I was in the assembly, and frankly, I didn't have a whole lot of luck. Paul Krikorian continued that effort, and he finally got a tax credit through. We had a select committee on runaway production. None of that really went anywhere because the majority of the legislature doesn't get the importance to the economy. And while I was there, the state actually eliminated a great program they had called the Film California First program. To save $7 million during the first budget crisis, they eliminated a program that resulted in a loss of $500 million worth of filming the following year immediately to save $7 million. The revenue from that was probably between $50 and $100 million, but people just didn't get it. I'm very encouraged by the fact that I think this council does get it. And so we're taking these steps and not waiting for California. I think it's important that we do it as part of our legislative program, but I think some of us will probably have to be involved ourselves. And if we actually try to advance the ball at the state level, I think some of us will have to go up there and lobby. And I don't think just our lobbyists themselves will make a lot of headway. I'm not sure that people realize how important this is to our economy. And I think it's good that folks like Councilmember Alarcon and our President Eric Garcetti and others are starting to put this out there. And it's not just the direct impacts. Our hotels are impacted, our restaurants, our dry cleaners. There's 1,000 different ways that the film industry has tentacles throughout our entire economy. And personally, I think part of why our unemployment and some of our other economic problems are what they are is not just the national economy. I think some of it is the result of the runaway production that has been gradually happening.
Madam Clerk, now we're going to prepare the roll. Open the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, so ordered. Thank you very much.
And joining us now is Chair of the Job and Business Development Committee, District 7 Councilmember Richard Alarcon. Mr. Alarcon, welcome back to Council Week in Review.
It's a pleasure to be here.
For more than a century now, it seems that Los Angeles has been the undisputed entertainment capital of the world, but so many productions are leaving. Why are they leaving, and why is it so important?
Well, they're leaving because, as I've described it, it's more of a death of 1,000 cuts than one singular reason. It's not necessarily just high business taxes. It's not just location issues. It's a compilation of a lot of things that frankly have made filming in Los Angeles unfriendly. And so we are fighting to keep the business in Los Angeles, and the recommendations that we made this week, I think, will send a very powerful message to the industry industry, that we care about them, we love them, we want them to stay, we want their filming in Los Angeles. But frankly, we have a lot more work to do.
And of course, your Jobs and Business Development Committee came up with 18 recommendations just in committee to reduce what's called runaway production. And I would imagine that tax credits would be playing a major role in that.
Tax credits are a primary issue, there's no question about it. To the extent that we can extend tax credits to the filming industry, we might be able to save many, many shoots in Los Angeles. But it's not just about the film industry per se. There are businesses that are essentially putting their own taxes on companies that are filming in their neighborhoods just because they have a building in the background. And sometimes that is enough to create a bad sense from the film company, and maybe the next time they won't shoot in Los Angeles. So we're looking at business tax reductions for not just the film industry per se, but also those ancillary organizations that are imposing charges on companies that are filming with their businesses in the background, and also in the interiors. To the extent that we can reduce these charges, if you will, or if we can give tax breaks to those companies, again, we might be able to enhance the filming opportunities in Los Angeles.
Beyond the tax incentives, what are some of the other broad stroke recommendations that you're making?
Well, as I said, filming in Los Angeles has become a problem because there are so many different ways that they are approached to face challenges in the community, in the governmental process, with other businesses. So many of the recommendations are very specific. One of the large issues is parking. Where can they find parking when they're doing their shoots without disrupting the community? And so we're looking at city facilities, we're looking at private parking organizations, and the recommendations will ask for a report on how we can improve the parking conditions. Another one, for example, is the Department of Water and Power electronic lines where they have just dirt. We've asked the Department of Water and Power to allow film companies to have parking under their guide wires for 7 days, up to 7 days, free of charge, to encourage not just filming in Los Angeles, but also broadening the areas where they might be filming, because those guide wires transect all of Los Angeles. There are also issues of relief relative to specific locations. The Griffith Park Observatory has been mentioned. The Hollywood sign. Ironically, the Hollywood sign is controlled by the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, and yet they charge $10,000 per shoot to film the Hollywood sign in a movie, and that, we think, is a very negative message, notwithstanding the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce demands on city government to improve filming in Los Angeles. That sends a very contradictory message. So it runs across the spectrum of reducing business taxes, improving the culture of Los Angeles to appreciate the film industry, and also improving the processes for filming to make it more film friendly, and look at specific recommendations relative to what the city can do.
You talked about parking, which of course is key in all walks of life here in Los Angeles. And I think Mr. Parks was talking about a neighborhood that just is constantly bombarded because it looks like anywhere USA. It sounds to me as if you have a community outreach and education effort here as well.
Absolutely. The Film LA organization, which is the organization that is responsible for improving the opportunities for filming in Los Angeles, I believe has been undercut in terms of their level of service provision by funding constraints. We have to review that to see whether we need to empower them to do much more in the way of community relations to bridge the gap between specific film shoots and those specific communities that are affected by those shoots. Sometimes it might be an independent studio that doesn't necessarily know how a community might react to a particular kind of shoot in a local community, and we need that bridge, and Film LA, I believe, is the entity to do it. We used to do it under the Entertainment Industry Development Council, and when that changed to become Film LA, that opportunity was reduced in terms of their funding and their ability to outreach to the community. So I think that's a critical element of the improvements that we will make.
On the subject of neighborhoods again, when you've got neighborhoods that think that they've just been hammered by so many productions in their area, and they say, you know, we're not really seeing the benefit from this, we're not seeing the jobs, for example, come back into our neighborhoods, what do you tell them? What's the answer to that?
The answer is, if they feel bad about it, they're probably right. There probably is something that could be improved. And one of the things that we would look at is marketing other parts of Los Angeles where they're more film friendly. This is a very diverse city, and yet we seem to concentrate our film shoots in particular areas. In fact, in testimony before my committee, the vice president of Fox TV Productions said that they're filming in my district right now, and they find it very friendly. But when they film downtown and in West LA, it's much more difficult. That's not to say that the people are any different. It's just to say that the conditions, the community may be different to the extent that they appreciate filming in different ways. And again, it may be maybe there's just too much of a saturation in particular communities that can be frankly unfriendly toward the community. And so we can improve upon those things with I think effective community relations, but also developing a marketing strategy to educate all the people of Los Angeles as to how important the film industry is to us. 142,500 jobs in this industry. Those are friends, family, and neighbors, and they get good wages and they provide good economics for our community. And so we want to develop a marketing scheme to upgrade the knowledge and therefore make communities more receptive to filming in their locations.
A few moments ago, you mentioned the Film LA organization. Do we know yet whether or not they can be effective in trying to achieve this effect of spreading productions more around the whole community instead of just certain small areas?
I believe that they can be more effective, but it may take additional resources, and we've called for a report on just that. When EIDC experienced its problems, the Entertainment Industry Development Council experienced some very real problems. The city reacted by reducing the scope of that organization and calling it Film LA. I believe some of the reductions might have been premature. It might have been sort of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So I think we need to re-engage the community in a discussion about whether to give Film LA a little more reach, a little more resources, so that they could do a more effective job of marketing filming in Los Angeles and developing better relations with the communities that might have problems with film shoots in their communities.
Well, and obviously the state of California and the county of Los Angeles play an important part in all this. How are we working with them, and what can they do to help keep California the key player here in the entertainment industry?
That's a very important question, and it was addressed by Mr. Reyes in City Council when he added a 19th recommendation, and that was to essentially build strategic alliances with our partners. And so the fourth leg on the stool of our strategic plan is to build more effective alliances with interested parties. In this case, it would be the California legislature, where we might be able to create incentives for good behavior and filming in Los Angeles, and disincentives for bad behavior. And so we are absolutely going to reach out to the legislature in Los Angeles, the delegation from Los Angeles, to see if we can more strategically organize, plan, and develop legislation that positively impacts the film industry.
You mentioned a major industry executive testifying before your committee, and I'm sure you had a lot of questions for him. What has been the general reaction from the film, television, and commercial industries to your proposal so far?
Well, I think first of all, they're just pleased that we're doing a lot of talk about it. There's a certain level of skepticism because it's not the first time we've talked about it, and so I would say that we want to demonstrate with real actions that we're very serious about this. That we need the film industry, and not just as a revenue stream for the city of Los Angeles, but for our economy is dependent on this industry in so many ways. And so these 19 actions were really primarily intended to send a positive message to the industry. They've received that message well. There's still a level of skepticism. I would encourage them to be skeptics, because that skepticism will drive our officials to make the right decisions to help them. But my goal is at the end of 1 year, I hope the industry will say, you know what, Los Angeles is a better place to film.
One of the other things that caught my attention in looking over the proposals you've made is having a dedicated staff person in every council office to deal with this issue in individual district neighborhoods. That seems like a fairly large investment of city resources at a time when we're really strapped.
Oh, it's not really, because we have deputies that are generally community relations experts anyway. That's what they do. This is one of the industries that we want to focus on, and to suggest we're not adding any new positions. We're merely saying somebody in our offices, and most of us have 15 to 20 staff people, and we just want to designate one of those people to be the film sort of expert that would respond to the complaints, participate in the discussions about strategic planning, about programmatic changes, and would be the general contact on the issue of film. So it's very similar to my contact on public works or my contact on the police department. They would simply have a staff person that everybody who has a question related to filming in their community can go directly to their council office and know who that person is. And I think it'll upgrade the information flow from the community, and also, frankly, it'll help the council members get better information on a consistent basis.
So not a dedicated staff person, but a good point of contact. Thanks for clearing that up. Finally, you've got a lot of nuts and bolts things also that you need to deal with. For example, most production shoots require extra electricity, a lot of power. How do you deal with things like that?
Well, one of the recommendations is looking at where are there a high number of shoots, particularly in government buildings. City Hall is one of the most used locations for filming. Of course, they can use it for free. But one of the things that would be most helpful is to allow them to have a utility node that they could just plug into, so they don't have to bring massive trucks in with large generators, sometimes blocking traffic, and in any case, very costly. They could just plug in, pay for the use of the power, and it would make it very simple. Now, I don't know how many of these we can build, but we're asking for 3 from the Department of Water and Power, and doing that, we think, will greatly assist in those particular locations by reducing the complications about filming in those particular locations.
Sounds like a simple idea that would probably work. Sounds good. District 7 Councilmember Richard Ollicon, thanks for joining us on Council Week in Review.
Always a pleasure.
Film LA is a nonprofit public benefit corporation that provides a one-stop resource for location production permits and acts as a crucial link between production companies and the communities in which they film. And you can reach Film LA at 213-977-8600 or on the web at filmla.com. You can listen to City Council meetings as well as committee and commission meetings on the telephone by using the city's council phone system. In the downtown area, dial 213-621-CITY. In West LA, dial 310-471-CITY. For the San Pedro area, dial 310-547-CITY. And in the San Fernando Valley, dial 818-904-9450. Just follow the recorded instructions for the meetings you want to hear. And we invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. And now, those of you living in the Harbor area can go to the San Pedro City Hall, located at 638 South Beacon Street, room 700 in San Pedro, and also participate in council meetings via video teleconferencing. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending October 9th, 2009. On behalf of Ephraim Monabat and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
I'll be home in a minute.
Well, the party's just getting started, so hurry home, honey.
Talk to you later.
Yes, good job.
Happy birthday to you.
Slow down. Your family is waiting for you. Watch the road.
Bulky item pickup? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall.
Before approaching an intersection, so that's why 2 wrong turns don't make a right turn. Now let's learn about tailgating.
Hey, that's how I got my ticket.
You got a ticket for tailgating? That's not good. That can be really annoying.
Doesn't get you there any faster.
It leaves you no distance to brake.
Which makes it easier to get into a crash.
And it also may increase your insurance premium. And I hate tailgaters.
Tailgating causes crashes. Back off. Watch the road.
City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to the City Council meeting for October 12, 2009. We're here in the John Farrell Council Chamber, room 340 of City Hall, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. I want to thank council members who are here. We do have a quorum now. We also have members of the public who have joined us, and welcome to council chambers, as well as members of the public who are viewing on Channel 35. Channel 35 broadcasts each of these meetings live through the city's cable system and rebroadcasts us in the evening, so welcome to our viewers. Good to have you here. We're also available online through the city's homepage at lacity.org. We have live streaming webcasts of our council meetings, and we also have archived footage of all of our past council meetings online, linked to our past agendas for your convenience. Our agendas are available here in person or online. Those are made available 72 hours in advance or 24 hours in advance. So you get the same information that we do. All of the committee reports and analyses are now available online as well for you to be able to read on all the issues that you care about. And also online there's a whole host of links to city departments, city services, and other ways to improve the quality of your life here in Los Angeles. Finally, if you're not close to a computer or a television, you can always use your telephone and call into Council Phone, which is a service of the city, to listen into our city council meetings or any of our council meetings. That number is 213-621-CITY, 213-621-CITY. And you can listen into any of our committee meetings as well as our full council meeting as well. With that, Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll, and we'll begin the meeting.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Weezer, Koretz, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Westenstein, Garcetti, 13 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Cardenas moves and Mr. Labange seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right, Mr. Smith moves and Mr. Zine seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well. Next order of business.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there's the flag salute.
We have a guest in council chambers. Assemblymember Felipe Fuentes is with us. We want to welcome him and thank you for being here. And if I could ask everybody to rise for our Pledge of Allegiance and ask the Assemblymember to lead us.
Everybody face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Assemblymember. If we can run through the agenda, please.
First items on the agenda, items 1 and 2. Our street lighting district ordinance is noticed for public hearing, and there is a card on number 2.
All righty. And we do have cards from this, or we do not?
Just on item 2.
On item 2. Anybody wishing to call 1 special? If not, let's go ahead then, and we'll close the public hearing on 1. We can prepare the roll on 1 and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 3 is a public convenience or necessity item in Council District 4, notice for public hearing, and the recommendation is to grant the application. However, there is a card on that.
Okay, we'll call that special for a card from the public as well. Next items, please.
Items 4 through 7 are items for which public hearings have been held. There is a request to continue items 6 and 7 1 week to October 20th.
Okay, there's no objection. We'll continue 6 and 7 a week. Any other specials, 4 and 5? We'll move to receive and file number 4. And if nobody wishes to call 2 special, we have that before us. Let's please open the roll on 4 and 5, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
4 is received and filed, and 5 is approved. Next items, please.
Items 8 through 19 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Item 8 is a commission appointment. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold 8 on the desk if there's no objection considering these items. They are before us. Mr. Parks?
Yeah, I'd like to have 18 and 19 special, and we could hold,
okay.
Have them together.
Do we have any cards on any of these, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, Mr. President. There are cards on item 9, 15, 17, and that's it for the section.
Okay, we'll open and close the other public hearings. Are there specials, colleagues? If not, let's take up the balance then. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. If we can go to the continuation agenda, please.
On the continuation agenda, item 20 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay. Anybody wishing to call special, Mr. Parks?
We have a amending motion on 20, so...
Okay, we'll hold 21 on 20?
20.
Okay, we'll hold that for Mr. Parks. And if we can hold 21 for closed session, please.
The closed session item.
Yes. With that, we'll go back to general public comment. General public comment is for members of the public to speak on anything that is not on the agenda but nevertheless under the jurisdiction of the council. If I can ask folks to wind their conversations down, please, so we can hear public comment on both sides of the rope. Sky Anderson is our first speaker. After that, we'll hear from Donna Pearman in Van Nuys. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sky Anderson. First, I want to tell you guys that you have a wonderful security people here. The guards are calm and collected, and they do just what they need to do to keep this place safe. I watched them on television when the homeless were demonstrating, and I was amazed at how controlled they were. Secondly, I want to talk about corruption in our state government. There's a poll today about people having faith in the state assembly and state senate. It's down to 13%. Why? It's because the state assembly is up for sale. Nunes, who was the secretary, AT&T bought Nunes. They gave him $79,000 when he was writing the bill which eliminated public access and eventually eliminated public access and took cable away from the cities and gave it to the state, control of cable away from the cities and gave it to the state. When he wanted to get Proposition 93 passed, AT&T gave him $250 of Proposition 93 support because that would allow Mr. Nunes to have another 4 years in office. Proposition 93 was rejected by the public. AT&T gave, the Governor Schwarzenegger had no money given to him by AT&T for this charity that he has, but now that he's been in governor, AT&T has given him $1 million, this charity $1 million. When he signed the bill, which did away with public access, eventually AT&T gave him $500,000. Executives for AT&T gave him $40,000, and 7 of those executives don't even live in California; they live in Texas. AT&T has bought our state government, and that really disturbed me that our democracy can be for sale. I don't know what we can do about AT&T and their greed and their lack of principles, but it's not democracy; it's selling of our government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson. Donna Pearman is our next speaker in Van Nuys. After that will be John Walsh back here in council chambers.
Hello, Mr. Garcetti. Anyway, I don't like furloughs. I don't believe the furloughs are the answer. Due to there are essential city services. I've seen even sworn personnel. They're talking about that, and I see furloughs are being done in the council staff. What a way to make your staff feel receptive to constituents. Will only hurt the public doing these furloughs, while the city council still misuses our money, allowing the CRA to take tax increment dollars, using millions of dollars. In the meantime, they gave $25,000 for the Eric Garcetti parade. I'm sure David Salzberg will be very happy about the furloughs that are being done. Also talking about changing the way they're also talking about the holidays and overtime, maybe doing comp time. All this is very wrong. These employees won't be receptive for what they're doing, and the public is going to be the one to suffer. Our city council needs to stop spending too much money on special projects, and I see a lot of fee waivers on Wednesday, and the CRA, and the fancy rail projects where the MTA and the LA DOT is falling apart. The rail is not for everyone. City employees should not concede. Don't give up at all, because while they're misusing our money, and my time is not going around, so I don't know how much time I have here.
Yeah, the clock is not working out there, but you have another 41 seconds left.
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, as long as the city council still doesn't know, and our mayor doesn't know how to use our money, and I don't like the way our mayor seems to be out against the city employees, saying that he wants to make sure that the city employees suffer in some way or another, that they have to concede, and they won't come up with ways to try to cut down on the fat. That's what we need to do, not go after these people who need the money. Like my friend, she can't be here today because she has a cat who is in very bad health, and she's with that cat right now. And otherwise, she would be here telling you that the city employees can't concede. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry about the clock. We'll try to see if we can get that fixed out there. John Walsh is our next speaker, then Arnold Sachs here in council chambers. Good morning, Mr. Walsh.
Good morning. I've got news for the city of Los Angeles at HollywoodHighlands.org. We're having the largest marijuana pot festival in the history of the world. And where will it be? On Hollywood Boulevard at 5552 Hollywood Boulevard. When will it be? Sunday. There will be a huge outdoor stage. The police will have to put out 50 to 100 new officers. There's a potential for serious disturbances. And it is all to celebrate the abuse of medical marijuana. And Mary Jane Garcetti has been asked to be the host of this pot festival. We are asking for the FBI to come to the pot festival. We're asking for the U.S. Attorney to come to the pot festival. They have a huge outdoor stage. People have started false rumors that there will be free pot. People have started false rumors that anyone who shows up can smoke as much marijuana on Hollywood Boulevard next Sunday as they want. We will be demonstrating against this. Now, I can't ask you a direct question, Mr. Garcetti, Mary Jane, because if I did, I would be arrested. That's free speech here in L.A. But I'm telling you, I invite you out there to see the first Potropolis event. L.A. has done a terrible job with medical marijuana clinics, and we're asking Mayor Newsom to come down here and hold a press conference and show what a great job he has done. There are more marijuana clinics in Hollywood than in the city of San Francisco. And the smart people are here kept the pot clinics out of their district, and the mayor and Eric invites them. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walsh.
Details.
And thank you for your work on this issue. I know together with you we've been able to close down quite a few of those. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker, and Michael Carrion will follow.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Arnold Sachs. I don't know if any of you happened to read the LA Times magazine that was inside Sunday's LA Times, but they had an interview with Captain Jesse Sullenberger, and they asked him a few questions, and he wrote down an answer to a question. He was telling about an incident that occurred with his daughter, and he said that when she was 9, I was driving her to school, and out of the blue she asked me, "Daddy, what does integrity mean?" After thinking about it, I came up with what, in retrospect, was a pretty good answer. Integrity means doing the right thing even when it's not convenient. The good news for the city of LA, council has no integrity. You have some discussions with the budget remaining, police department. Remember, you had a police officer here, I believe it was Assistant Commander Beck for the DNA rape crisis kit, and he was asked about $700,000 that went to hire new personnel, and he said it was spent, but it wasn't spent on new personnel. Again, I reiterate, nobody's stepping forward. You had a special committee to explore a special event fee policy, but you never looked at the fees for Staples Center, LA Live, Coliseum, Hollywood Bowl, and Dodger Stadium. How do you expect, Chief Bratton, Mr. Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, how do you expect to plug the hole with Band-Aids when you're gushing blood $1 million a day and not looking into those situations where those places get free city services? Again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Actually, just as one correction, Hollywood Bowl, Dodger Stadium, all those actually have not only been communicated with, but were included. I've seen those emails myself that are included in the new special events policy and do have to pay as well. Michael Carrion is our next speaker, and then Yvonne Michelle Autry is our next speaker after that. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Once again, I come to speak on deaf ears. It seems that nobody listens. Once again, I'm here to let you know that Mr. Reyes' office still has not cleaned the weeds on the sidewalk. I will continue to come back and let you know that Mr. Reyes' office, with his field deputy, Sonia Jimenez, failed to improve the quality of life of people on that block. Instead, Mr. Reyes' office gives Paramount Pictures a permit to film in that property. So Mr. Smith asked one time about rent escrow. This is property owned by the city that's being rented out. commercial property. But I guess the city doesn't care about the quality of life of the people. They're just money hungry. It's a dollar sign. If you want to make money and you're that desperate, go right outside and cite all the illegal parked vehicles. We know the new police station is open. Excuse me, can you people keep it down? I can't hear, please. We know the new police station is being opened because there's cars parked illegal out there. It says no parking, but we have a lot of officers who just park there and walk in. Why? Because it's a habit. It's a bad habit. But the habit starts here because you people do nothing about it. You sit here and allow it to continue week after week. As I notify you, you sit here and eat. You sit here and drink. You sit here and joke. But you don't get off your lazy butts to do anything about it. That's embarrassing to come down the street and see police officers breaking the law at a brand new police station. If you do not do anything about it now, it's going to get worse because they're all going to come over here. All you did was bring the problem from Judge Aliso to City Hall.
Our next and last speaker is Yvonne Michelle Autry. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Nice to speak. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity, and I'd like to encourage you in your comments, and thank you for making your comments. Specifically, thank you again, President Garcetti. I'd like to direct my comments to Ms. Jan Perry. We have a situation at the Firehouse 23 which has been available for the duration of my residency here downtown. That's 6.5 years in serving the community. We've had OG's in service exhibition of his artwork. We've been able to practice and rehearse the drama stage, Qumran's plays and poetic theatrical evenings of expression. We've also had opportunities for to share during the Skid Row Photography Club. And from what I understand, it's Ms. Perry, because I believe this is her area, who has proposed that there's an eviction of the current caretaker, which would mean that that area would be closed to the community. So I strongly oppose that. Of course, it was Ms. Perry who shut down and closed the South Farm, which was for the community. I don't know why she feels driven to take everything from the people of the community. I just feel really, I'd like to ask you personally, why do you feel driven to take everything from the people of the community?
Address the council as a whole, please.
I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry. It's because everything that the people avail themselves of to uplift the morale, to encourage and improve our standard and quality of life, it seems as if the city wants to take it. Right now, the building is not available as for-profit venue, thank God, because of the community's action on behalf of a nonprofit organization which will use Proposition K funds so that we can continue to keep this center open for the community. It is a refuge so that we can discourage any type of recidivism, or people now are using it as a refuge so we can be participating, contributed members of the community so that they're not going back to drug abuse and then, of course, suffering the high levels of recidivism in the prisons. So any sympathetic ear that has any authority, please.
Thank you.
It's regarding the Firehouse 23 Fifth Street. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Autry. That will close our general public comment. If we can go back to items that were called special, if we can start with the commissioner, item number 8, and that came out of, that did not come out of,
that was waived out of public safety.
Public safety. Mr. Smith, our chair, if I can ask Ms. Ramsire to come forward, please, and and we do have one card. Why don't we take that first? And that is Arnold Sachs on number 8.
Good morning. Thank you. Arnold Sachs. Congratulations on your appointment to this commission. But, by the way, have you been reading some recent, well, actually, some articles in the Orange County Register and the Long Beach Press-Telegram? A few editorials that might have appeared. Misfiring at Puppy Mills. Wrong kind of pet project. New breeder laws solve nothing. The gist of most of these, of all of these editorials, and I have yet to read one that's in favor of the puppy mills and the Spay and Neutering Act, but the gist is that they create more problems than they solve. This one's from Wrong Kind of Pet Project from July 23rd of 2009 said, a recent published State Department of Finance analysis of Senate Bill 250, a statewide spay and neuter law that's scheduled to be heard in Assembly Committee in August, provides more evidence for those who are leery of these heavy-handed pet control laws. It cites research showing that the City of Los Angeles experienced a 20% increase in shelter impounds and 30% increase in shelter euthanasias after passage of the mandatory spay and neuter ordinance. So, in Santa Cruz County, research shows that animal control costs doubled after mandatory spay and neuter ordinances were passed. That being said, and I mean, it's only 3 editorials, but again, I see no voices of editorials except in the City Council in favor of this. Would you consider looking into what this analysis of the State Senate Bill 250 held, and
Thank you,
maybe
Mr. Sachs.
step it up to the plate for the public?
Mr. Smith, Chair of our Public Safety Committee. I'd like to
Thank you,
recognize
Mr. President. Yes, thank you. And I'm very happy to have Melanie here today. We waived it out of committee due to timing issues and getting it on our calendar in time to get her here within the time frame allotted. So we didn't waive it out, but I did have the pleasure of meeting with Melanie. I want to tell you that we have here a commissioner who is very excited about the position. She understands this is a department in turmoil. It is a department that has lots of problems. What I was really excited to hear from her was that she had visited already all of our animal shelters. And one of the things she said very clearly, she saw in some of them tremendous amount of volunteer work going on, and others none. And she wants to build up the volunteer corps that supports our animal services department. And that's an exciting thing to hear, because in these times of troubled budgets, we're going to need all the help we can get. And to bring in the community and build up that core as her main mission is a great asset to the city, and one which I encourage and support very much. But she also had a great understanding of the issues before her, that there are contentious issues before that board, that she's going to be in the crossfire of a lot of discussion on animal issues, because one of the things we have found always here is that whenever you bring up an animal issue, it has a great amount of passion on both sides. And I think you'll find in Melanie a commissioner who understands her role, is very excited about the role, and will do a very fine job. So with that, although it was waived out of committee, I ask for the council's support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Cardenas is our next speaker.
Thank you, Melanie, for volunteering. I know you do a lot of things in the community, and here's one more, but thank you very much. This is a very, very important department to the city of Los Angeles. Unfortunately, too many communities overlook the fact that how we treat our animals really reflects on who we are as a society. But here in Los Angeles, we are trying to move toward being a much better community. For example, we are sincere when we say we would like to arrive at the point in time where we can truly say we are a no-kill city. But even if we never arrive there anytime soon, what we would like to do is remove ourselves from the list of cities that kills tens of thousands of animals a year. And that's going to take a lot of hard work. But what it's going to take is being honest with ourselves. And right now, we don't have a head of a department that has been searched for, what have you. We have an interim. She's doing a fine job. But the process still remains for us to find a permanent general manager, as far as I understand. So that being the case, I would hope and expect that as a commissioner, you would have some input on that. Can you give me an example of something that you would like to see in a general manager in that search that we would be satisfied with? Should we find someone that we're satisfied with? Give us an example of something that you feel is paramount or important with that individual.
Well, I think we need to find somebody who's dynamic. I think that because, as Councilman Smith has already pointed...
Can you put the mic a little closer?
Yes. Sorry, not used to microphones.
Mm-hmm.
As Councilman Smith already pointed out, it's a contentious issue. There are people that are passionate, but we have to bring all those passions together and find somebody who can unite everybody, because I believe that in the end, everybody wants to save the animals, whether they're the radical animal people or the common sense ones. Everybody has the same goal. So we need somebody who can remind everybody that there is common ground, and it is putting these animals, these adoptable animals, into people's homes. I was recently on the East Coast, and I went into the North Shore Animal League, which is one of the world's largest no-kill facilities, and I met with them and asked them questions. But I think those are the kind of facilities where we might be looking for a new general manager. Someplace that's already done it, that's already become a no-kill facility. And honestly, I wouldn't have accepted this if I didn't think it was possible. Animals are so important to me. I've rescued them my entire life. So I believe that we have to believe it's possible, and I do believe it is, and we just have to work harder.
Okay. Do you think that it's with passion alone that we can arrive at becoming a no-kill city, or is it that passion that should drive us to figure out and to continue to put into place realistic mechanisms, realistic solutions? So is it a combination of that, or is it just about passion?
No, it's absolutely a combination. You have to have somebody who's very intelligent, who knows the issues, who's able to navigate through the different groups, but it also has to be somebody who can inspire people. I think the thing that I found from touring the shelters, the morale's low. You need to find somebody it starts at the top. You need to find people who can come and inspire everybody to really be excited. And as you said, it would be really great if Los Angeles was known as the city, if we can make that a part of our mark on the country and on the world, that we really do. We are committed to saving our animals, and that means we need to be saying that from the top down, as you guys are, but we need a general manager who's going to be saying that too.
Well, one of the things that I think we are on the move and becoming that kind of city. I would hate to feel like we could placate ourselves and to think that we have arrived, because we have not.
Right.
Because we still are euthanizing tens of thousands of animals a year, mainly dogs and cats. But the fact of the matter is that we are the biggest spay and neuter requirement city in the country. Certainly in the state of California. The state legislature failed to pass the spay and neuter law. And so we in the city of Los Angeles, Councilmember Alarcón and I led the fight to do so. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of interpreting that and trying to make the best of it. Also, when you look at the Animal Cruelty Task Force and some other things that we've done, we've come a long way in the last few years. But at the same time, I think it's important for us to recognize that sometimes some passionate individuals or passionate organizations get in the way of progress by looking at it purely from a passionate standpoint rather than being fair with themselves, with the organizations, with the city, and with the commission, et cetera, and saying, wait a minute, let's stop wasting so much energy on arguing with each other. Why don't we spend and invest that energy in helping each other? Because every day that goes by, animals are euthanized in this city, every single day. And if we can circumvent that and spend more time trying to figure out how to save them instead of spending time figuring out how to continue arguing with each other, I think that we would have much, much more success. And I expect and hope that you will continue to be, I say continue to be a fresh and also a logical voice in this very, very important issue. So thank you once again for volunteering your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Koretz, then Mr. Alarcón, and then Mr. Labange. Mr. Koretz.
I'm very excited to see Melanie joining this body because she's very excited about this position. She's already, as was mentioned, visited all of our animal shelters. She's visited some other no-kill shelters in other places in the country already. And I think we can become a no-kill city. It's a question of doing the right kinds of PR. And I think we just need the leaders to do it, and I think Melanie will be one of those. We also need to get the right kind of general manager. I know you're very focused on this, so I'm proud to have you as a 5th District resident coming on this body, and look forward to working with you in the years ahead. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Alarcón, then Mr. Labange, Mr. Rosendahl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to express my passion about the spay and neuter ordinance and to ensure that the department maintains a very aggressive posture in terms of moving us closer and closer to that no-kill city that Tony was talking about. We established an advisory committee as part of the spay and neuter ordinance that will term out in just a few months. but we are not necessarily, while we are relatively in making the goals of the spay and neuter ordinance, we haven't finished the job. Plus, we were also supposed to hire somebody to oversee the spay and neuter ordinance. That hasn't happened. So I, for one, would like the advisory committee to be extended, but I wouldn't want the commission to feel like they're asserting they're stepping into your jurisdiction. I just see them as a helping hand. Would you support the extension of the advisory committee to the spay and neuter ordinance?
It sounds like a great idea. I'm just getting up to speed with all the issues, so I don't know the past with it. But it sounds like a great idea. So I would love to know more. I'd love to work with you in terms of figuring out. But it does sound like that we need to, if you're more the expert than I am right now, and I know that you sponsored the spay and neuter and that you've been promoting that. So it does sound, from your expertise, as if we need it. So I would then support it.
Yeah, we our last general manager was always getting himself in the news for sometimes the wrong reasons, and I just want to make sure that the next general manager that we hire is not going to be the same sort of general manager. It's one thing to get in the news; it's another thing to do it for the wrong reasons. In fact, members, I don't know if you got an email. I got an email from Ed Box last week because he wanted to invite me to a Hooters for Neuters event that was happening in some other state, and he just wanted. He said, "I'm still going to be in the business. I want to stay in touch with you," and I guess he still doesn't get it. So I hope we don't make the same mistake twice to hire somebody that gets in the news for all the wrong reasons. That's not to say that everything Mr. Box did was wrong. He did a lot of good things as well. No, I did not go to the event, so I would just urge you to maintain the passion. I like the passion of the animal rights activists, but we do, and I believe the mayor also wants to get as close to a no-kill city as possible, and I would urge you to advocate that with all the passion you can muster. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Labange is our next speaker.
Thank you very much for your service to the city of Los Angeles. You grew up in Ohio. What was it like in Ohio? And if you could pull your microphone down a little bit.
Yes. I grew up in Canton, Ohio. I graduated from high school from a school named Canton McKinley that was very much, I grew up in a football state. I came out here and went to UCLA, and I've made Los Angeles my home since college.
And your profession now is?
My profession's in the entertainment industry.
Right.
I'm an agent. I represent directors and what's called below the line.
Who's your favorite, or without naming one that you have, who's your favorite cinematographer?
My favorite cinematographer... God, now you're really going to get me in trouble.
I don't want you to get in trouble.
No, it's okay. I would probably have to say Emmanuel Lubetsky.
But it's tremendous work that those people do to bring action to film. And it's a tremendous role that you have now as a commissioner to bring action to a very important role. As cinematographers go like this and say this is what they want in their frame, I tell my neighborhood councils, I suggest to commissioners, frame what you want and try to achieve that. It is a giant challenge to try to move anything in this building, and this building being the structure of local government. But the care for animals is so important. We have very special people, but not enough of them in animal services. We have a special wildlife officer who is key. We recently had an unfortunate situation where people were feeding coyotes. 2 persons got bit. State law requires eradication. They eradicated 8 coyotes, which wasn't necessary at all. But protocols after that meeting we found were upgraded between our Department of Recreation and Parks and Animal Services, which is so key to that. But I think it's always important to remember where you come from in the life and get an opportunity to serve, and then where the people we serve come from. Not everybody can meet every hurdle, but to try to encourage them. And the volunteerism, I know I don't know if it's a reality, and I know Mr. Smith may answer it, but in the newspaper they spoke of privatizing, if that's the term, for animal services in some respects. Do you know anything about that at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so there was some concept to run it like a society, cruelty to animals, etc. So, but good luck, and my door is always open for you. Thank you for your service to the people of Los Angeles.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you've been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Of course I have.
yeah,
It's right next to my high school.
Did you go to-
I
to-
go by it every day.
But did you go to that high school where they have the game?
Ken McKinley, yeah, the Fawcett Stadium is where
Right.
they have the game.
Right there. Yeah, I've been
So you're
there.
a football fan.
I am, but I've been there once.
Have you?
Mike Haynes, a teammate from high school, is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Our last speaker is Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why do you want to be a commissioner?
Why do I want to be a commissioner? I want to be a commissioner. I love animals, but I also feel that I've been given this opportunity to step up and do a civic duty and to really give back to the community and give back to the animal community as well. I personally have rescued 3 cats and 2 dogs. The last dog actually came from when I went and toured the 6 shelters recently. I found a 10-year-old dog in South LA that was on the red list that broke my heart. And I also have an idea of just one. If everybody takes responsibility for one animal, that's also an idea. I have so many ideas to bring to you, to the City of Los Angeles, and to Animal Services in how we can achieve being a no-kill city.
And when you say you love animals, do you have any pets yourself?
Yes, I do. I have 3 cats and 2 dogs. And as I said, I just recently adopted the 10-year-old dog, and I have a 1-year-old puppy. So I just the other day had to learn how to walk a 1-year-old and a 10-year-old. So you can imagine, one is slow and one is fast.
Well, I appreciate exactly what you just said, that you love animals, number one. That's key. And 2, I totally agree with you that if every human being had a pet, I don't care if it's a bird or a fish tank or a cat or a dog or a chicken.
Or a rabbit.
Or a rabbit. It would calm their spirit down. They would connect with nature, which is a pure spirit in the animals, and they would actually be more together in their own soul. It is absolutely critical. I happen to have a lot of animals, and I love them, and they give me great joy. Here's the big question for you.
Okay.
My colleague Paul Koretz and I put in a motion about the clawing of cats. I'm totally against it. It is not the right thing to do. It's painful for the cat. The cat suffers forever, and it's just some idiot who doesn't want a cat that claws. Well, they shouldn't get a cat, okay? But that's part of the neurology of that cat. What's your opinion about the clawing?
I am completely against declawing cats.
Perfect, because we're going to have a lot of veterinarians who make a buck out of this fight us on it. But I appreciate
I'm
your
up for the
support.
fight.
Good. And thank you for stepping forward to this position.
Thank you very much. I
Bless
appreciate
you.
it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. Any other members wishing to be heard? If not, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on the nomination. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
Thank you and congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
I'd like to recognize Mr. Alarcon for Special 1. If Mr. City Attorney, on the findings, if you'd, under Rule 23, please make the findings.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since the posting of today's agenda, the LAPD has requested the City Council to offer a reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect in the hit-and-run incident on July 17th at 12:15 a.m. on Vaughn Street near Glen Oaks that resulted in the death of Judy Ramos. Immediate action is required to locate witnesses for the safety of the community. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Is there anybody else on the findings? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll on the findings, please. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
Pursuant to Rule 23, we now have before us Special 1, Mr. Alarcon.
Members, as you know, one of the most difficult things we do is reward motions. They strike at our hearts, and we do them in public session knowing that we're going to get a unanimous vote, but because we need to get the word out, and we want people to see the faces, and hopefully while they're channel surfing, they'll stop and maybe the person that knows information about the particular reward will come forward. Today, we're here because a young lady, Judy Ramos, as you can see, a beautiful young lady, was killed on the corner of Vaughn and Glen Oaks by a hit-and-run driver. Sadly, it was her birthday, and she, and even more sadly, it was just a couple years after her father was killed at the home by somebody walking up to the door and shooting him. So this family has had a lot of tragedies. Fortunately, they are a strong family and they're working together. But we are here to ask for a $50,000 reward because, ironically, there was another irony. There was a birthday party just within probably a couple hundred yards from the accident. Wasn't the daughter's birthday party, but there might have been somebody who witnessed it, who was in attendance at the party. So detectives have asked for this reward because they think that there's somebody out there who knows more information about who might have caused this accident. We are asking the passage of this reward motion, but more importantly for the public who might be observing, we're asking for anybody who has information about the accident which occurred on July 19th this year at about 12:15 a.m., which took the life of Judy Ramos. We would ask that you step forward with any information you might have, as slight as it may be. We hope you do it for the right reasons, not for the reward, but if you do it for the reward, that's okay too. We want this information. We want to put the perpetrator to justice. So with that, I'd first like to ask our lead traffic officer in the San Fernando Valley to give some details. Detective Bustos. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to be Obrecht. I'm the investigating officer on this collision. The council member hit pretty much on all the facts that the collision occurred on the 19th of this year, in July. Ms. Judy Ramos died the next day, and unfortunately she sustained fatal injuries. We've reached out to the community thus far, and we've pretty much run out of leads. So we're asking for the public's assistance, and I think the $50,000 reward is most fitting, in that it might flesh out the person who was involved in this collision, or it might get somebody who knows a little bit more about it. But I also want to say that if the individual is out there and this is on their conscience, we know that it was very dark, it was very sudden, and it was an accident. So we need to emphasize that the fact that the family is grieving and they would like some closure for this, and they're wanting some answers, just like us, the police, and we'd like to close our investigation, and I do think that this $50,000 reward will help with that.
We are very thankful that Judy's mother has joined us to express in her own words how difficult that this has been for her. We also, she will be speaking in Spanish, and then her son will say some words in English. We are joined by many, her siblings, her two sisters, her brother, and her mother, as well as other family members. Mrs. Ramos.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Teresa Ramos y estoy aquí porque el domingo 19 nos pasó una tragedia. Mi hija y yo íbamos a la marqueta a traer agua y pasó un carro atropelló a mi hija. Veníamos de regreso y ya iba para mi casa, cruzamos la calle y miramos y pues un carro venía. Entonces mi hija traía el carrito de la marqueta puchando con el galón de agua y ella se fue un poco adelante de mí. Yo quedé como unos cuantos pies atrás de ella.
Un momentito por traducción.
Por favor, que me quitaron el micrófono. Okay. Estoy aquí porque por una tragedia, pues segunda tragedia que ya nos ha pasado.
I am here because this is a second tragedy that happened to my family.
Mi hija, fuimos mi hija y yo el 19 de julio a agarrar agua porque estaba haciendo mucha calor.
On July 19th, me and my daughter went to get some water because it was very hot.
Y al regreso veníamos ya de agarrar la agua y mi hija venía en un carrito de agua, traíamos el galón de agua.
And my daughter was pulling the water in a little cart. We had the water.
Y ella caminó un poco adelante de mí y en eso Yo apenas iba subiendo a la banqueta cuando escuché un ruido, algo que sonó
She
muy
was
fuerte.
walking ahead of me, and I was just getting into the sidewalk when I heard a very loud noise.
Y ya en eso, pues el ruido me hizo voltear, pues para ver qué era lo que estaba pasando. No alcanzaba a saber qué era lo que estaba
The
pasando.
noise made me turn around. I didn't know what was happening.
Y en eso, pues ya miré algo, así como estaba oscuro, no se miraba bien, miraba que algo volaba ahí.
And because it was dark, I wasn't able to see clearly. Suddenly, I saw that something was flying.
Y era mi hija, pues, cuando cayó ya a la banqueta,
And it
miré
was
que
my
era
daughter.
ella. Entonces en eso, pues ya lo que hice es correr hacia ella, mirar a ver si estaba.
It
Pues,
was my daughter, and she hit the sidewalk, and what I did was just run towards my daughter.
Y ya pues la movía y nada, no respondía para nada. Y,
I kept moving her, but she didn't respond.
y en eso miré pues que ya pues me di cuenta que había sido que la habían atropellado, porque miré un carro que medio se quiso parar.
I was able to see that it was a hit and run. I saw a car that it kind of tried to stop.
Pero él siguió su camino y en eso pues yo ya no pude mirar nada más de quería pues enfocarme en mi hija a ver
But he
qué era lo que
kept
estaba
going, and I wasn't
pasando.
able to see anything else. I just wanted to pay attention to my daughter.
Saber si ella estaba todavía pues viva. Y
Yeah,
eso,
I just wanted to see if she was still alive.
lo único que hice pues es gritar para ayuda, para que vinieran a ayudarme pues a
The only thing I
llamar a
was able to
ambulancias.
do was scream for help.
Ujú, y ya pues ya miré que la persona pues para nada paró, él siguió su paso y eso pues me da mucha tristeza que la
Whoever hit
persona-
her did not stop. He just kept going, and that makes me feel very sad.
porque él ha dejado pues ha dejado mucho dolor pues en mí, especialmente en mi familia, y mucha tristeza porque
He left a lot of pain in me and a lot of sadness too, with sadness in my family.
porque digo yo porque he visto que cuando hay accidentes así con los animalitos se paran, y esa era una persona y para nada él siguió su camino.
I've been able to see that sometimes when somebody runs over an animal, they stop to see what happened to the animal. But my daughter was a person, and I was able to see that they hit her, but they did not stop.
Y pues yo le quiero decir a la persona que pues que por favor pues se entregue, que porque pues
I want to tell this person, whoever hit my daughter, that just to come forward.
pues que yo entiendo que pues un accidente nos pasa pues, a cualquiera, ¿verdad? Si él se haga parado no había necesidad de
I
hacer
understand
tantas
that an
cosas.
accident could happen to anybody, and he could have stopped.
Ujú, pero como no lo hizo, pues pues no, siento más dolor porque pues no tuvo que irse, pues, ¿verdad?
But he didn't do it, and that makes me feel more pain.
Y pues también quiero pedir a la comunidad que si de favor sabe algo que nos ayude, por favor.
I just want to ask the community that if they know anything, to please help us.
Porque pues están ofreciendo pues $50,000 de recompensa por si alguien sabe que nos haga el favor de ayudarnos, porque pues,
Because the reward now is $50,000, so if anybody knows anything about it, please help us.
y pues es segunda vez que nos pasa y pues me duele mucho porque mi hija en verdad era algo especial para mí.
This is the second time that this happens to us, and my daughter was something very special for me.
tenía incapacidad mental, a pesar de todo eso ella era una muchacha, pues se miraba normal, era alegre.
She had a mental disability, and even then she was very happy and she looked normal.
Ujú. Era muy alegre, le gustaba mucho ir a las tiendas y pues siempre estaba conmigo, me hace mucha
She loved to go to the stores, and she was always with me.
No es justo que pues se quede así, como le digo, la segunda vez, primera y segunda vez, ya no quiero que se quede así, quiero que se entregue pues
This is not fair. I don't want this to go just like the first time. I want that whoever did it to just come forward.
Aparte porque también pues una persona así responsable pues puede cometer lo mismo, otra tragedia para otra familia.
If somebody is so irresponsible, yes, could cause so much grief to a family.
Por favor, si alguien tiene alguna información, que llame a la estación de policía.
If anybody has any information, please call the police department.
Vamos a agradecer mucho pues cualquier ayuda que puedan, cualquier información que nos puedan dar.
We will be very grateful for any information that they can provide.
Y es todo, muchas gracias.
And that's
A ver,
all.
nos
Thank you
pueden
very
ayudar.
much, and I hope somebody help us.
Gracias.
So members, we would ask for your support. I know that you will, you always do. Ironically, again, July 19th is my daughter's birthday, so I feel your pain. With that, I urge your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. Lo siento mucho a la familia. Gracias por venir. Thank you for coming as well to all the members of the family, and we're very deeply sorry about your loss. And Mr. Alarcon, thank you for introducing this motion for a reward. We do hope the community will come forward with any information. If we can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. We'll send that forthwith to the mayor for his immediate signature so we can make sure that reward motion gets out. Next item called special, please.
Item 2 called special for cards.
Okay. Mr. John Walsh, item number 2, please.
One minute. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. I'm speaking as a member of United Rail Riders of Los Angeles. You know, rail riders are about 80% minority. It isn't and what we see here in East Side, including the lighting, is a recipe for disaster as far as there are no quad gates, the big steel gates with the lighting there. And they're not there, not because Gloria Molina wanted them. She fought for them, and a racist named Zev Yaroslavsky and the West Side made sure there are no quad gates there, which means you are going to see when the East Side line
Excuse me, Mr. President, this is regarding the lighting district.
This concerns lighting and safety.
Sir, if you could lower your voice,
Have you ever
please.
reached the point?
Mr. Walsh,
You know,
thank
you
you.
are I can't believe the way you treat
Thank you,
people.
Mr. Walsh. Well, that will be 1 minute of comment. Anybody wishing to be heard from the council on this item? If not, please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay? That will be approved. If we can call, Mr. Parks asked for 18 and 19 out of order. Mr. Parks, you want to take those together? He's coming back in just a second for that item. Let's take item 3 while we're waiting.
That was called special for cards.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Here's Mr. Parks. Item 18 and 19, Mr. Parks, if you'd like to take those together. We take those out of order.
Thank you, Mr. President. On 18 and 19, colleagues, we have 2 reward motions. I'd like to ask that we have a reward motion on an incident that occurred August the 1st, 2009, at approximately 9:51 p.m., where Martha Cruz, who was 18 years old, was in the rear seat of a passenger vehicle at Normandy and 29th Street. The driver of the vehicle stopped at the light at Normandy and 29th. A light-colored 4-door vehicle with tinted windows stopped along the driver's side of the car that Cruz was seated in. The suspect in the front seat rolled down the window and stated, "Where are you from?" The suspect then produced a chrome revolver and fired multiple shots in the vehicle. Cruz was struck by the gunfire and transported to the California hospital, where she was pronounced dead. She is survived by her mother, Mary Fernandez, and a 2-year-old son. And we'd ask that anyone that has information regarding this incident would call Detective Hansen or Officer Dilks, a criminal gang homicide group, at 213-485-1383. Also, we have a second reward motion on August the 2nd, 2009, approximately 10:50 p.m. Roy Anthony Sutherland was stabbed multiple times as he was walking on the sidewalk of the 3500 block of Western Avenue. A passerby called 911 after coming across him lying unconscious and fatally wounded on the northwest corner of Western and 35th Place. LAPD is requesting some assistance because they have not had any leads. We would ask anyone aware of any circumstances would call Detective Burrito or Detective Late at the criminal gang homicide group 213-485-1383. And so on 18 and 19, would ask for I vote on $50,000 reward on both incidents.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Any other members wishing to be heard on these reward motions? If not, Let's go ahead and prepare the roll, and please tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
Okay, that is approved. Item number 3 was next. Mr. Walsh, if you'd like to come forward on item 3. And after that, we will reconsider number 10 for Mr. Kretz.
1 minute. HollywoodHighlands.org for what's really going on. This is another liquor license. And for determining, now this is to not to a bar or a restaurant. This is to actually to a warehouse. We're now giving liquor licenses to warehouses, and you wonder why people are killed. Those people were up here before. They bought the person who killed that child, that young lady, bought alcohol probably at some convenience store where you gave him the license. The drunk driver that killed, hit-and-run driver. Yet you continue to give these licenses. Alka Hollywood, it's out of control. And I want to know what necessity there is for this Yummy Foods grocery delivery service to get a license. HollywoodHighlands.org for the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. That will close our public comment. This is in CD4. Mr. Labange, do you have a motion on this item to move this? Mr. Labange? This is in Council District 4. Is there a motion to...
Members, I move to approve this item. Thank you.
Mr. Labange moves. Go ahead and please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That is approved. Next item called special, please.
Forthwith, please.
Okay, we'll send that forth. I'm sorry, is a reconsideration of number 10. We can open the roll, please. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
And Mr. Koretz has some amendments. Mr. Koretz.
Yes, I'd like to move to reconsider item number 10 to correct some clerical errors. I'd like the council to approve a substitute exhibit document to the Cedars-Sinai Development Agreement to ensure that the square footages referenced conform to previous approvals, and to ensure that the second page of Exhibit D is included in the final development agreement, which was inadvertently omitted. This is a great project which adds 100 new hospital beds. There's no controversy around it. It's a great benefit to the community.
Great. Thank you very much. With those amendments, if those are accepted as friendly, seeing no objection, they are. Let's go ahead and prepare the roll on 10 as amended and tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That is approved. Next item called special, please.
Item 9 called special for cards.
Okay, Mr. Walsh on item number 9, followed by Arnold Sachs on the same one.
One minute. HollywoodHighlands.org posting last Friday and another one on this Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, and I don't speak to not to the all-white jury up here that's going to convict me, to the people back here and the 50,000 people watching. You know, when we had the Northridge earthquake, you know, one of these pipelines broke and spilled all over the city, all over the area. A lot of people don't realize how dangerous these pipelines are. And all these politically correct people up here, it's bringing down profit for the big oil companies. And they're quiet about it, and the media is not going to talk about it. But pipelines bring disaster during earthquakes. Do you know where do you know there's a pipeline near where you live? Do you know? They're not going to tell you.
Thank you very much. Actually, if anybody who does want to know the pipelines that go through their neighborhoods, they can go online at lacity.org and our GIS information. It's one of the overlays, and you can find out in your neighborhood exactly where they are. Mr. Sachs is our next speaker.
Good morning. Thank you again.
Good morning.
Arnold Sachs. Here's a perfect opportunity for the city to act. Not that it'll happen in the right way, but the City Council has recently passed some living wage ordinance adjustments to the people who work at the airport to assist them in health care coverage. They want to do this by requesting a quarter fee on airline tickets. Well, why not a fee on oil by the gallon for products that flow through the pipeline? The federal government just requested for the airlines to recycle potable water on their airplanes. They're going to want to, it said it's going to cost $7 million, a penny a ticket. Why not a penny a gallon for everything that flows through the pipelines through the city of LA? How much money would that raise? Why not do something honest, step up to the plate? Maybe we can get the auditors to find out how much fluid flows through the pipelines throughout the various districts, and they could put a tariff, a penny a tariff. How much would that cost? How much would that earn for the city? How much would that earn for the public? You know, you wanted a quarter on the airline tickets. I don't know why you didn't make it $10 to help fight the city budget deficit. How come you have a $500 pipeline franchise fee? This is 2009. $500 in 2009? Why don't you just give them the keys to your bank account? Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Sachs, the franchise fee actually is that precisely. It does extract money for the general fund for the programs in the city of Los Angeles. And I believe Ms. Hahn also had a motion on a further tax on oil extraction. So that has been introduced, and appreciate your comments on that very much. Mr. Koretz on this one, or was this before? Yeah, Mr. Koretz.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions on it, and I don't know who appropriately to address it to. But what happens if any of the cities...
Department of Transportation here on this item? We have representatives right here, so hold on one second, Mr. Koretz. They manage the pipeline franchise, since it is transporting things.
It'll be adjusted.
Go ahead.
I know the pipeline is supposed to go through several cities other than Los Angeles. What happens if any of those cities objects to the pipeline?
Good morning. Farhad Zaltash from Department of Transportation. Phase one of the project, which is before you, only involves cities of Carson and Los Angeles. City of Carson has already pledged its support of the project, so there won't be any problem for phase one of the project. Phase two involves cities of Gardena, Hawthorne, LA County, and LAX property. Some of those agencies have shown and indicated their support. The city of Gardena is in opposition of the project, but that is something that will be decided later on during phase two. Phase one of the project, if it is approved, does not predetermine the approval of phase two of the project. So phase one of the project can function independently of phase two.
So phase one is a standalone project, so phase two never got built, it would still have some value.
Phase one can function as a standalone if phase two does not get approved because of other jurisdictions' refusal to approve the project.
Would we go ahead with it if we thought phase two wouldn't be approved?
The draft the environmental process looked at both projects and seemed that the project is feasible. But basically what you have before you is phase one of the project. And if for whatever reason, let's say City of Gardena or LAX or any other jurisdiction refuses, phase one will be able to function on its own.
Okay, but we know Gardena has already expressed some opposition to it.
Yes.
If they were able to kill phase two, and we knew that was a possibility, would we do phase one under that circumstance, or are we doing phase two with the hope, phase one with the hope that phase two will go through?
The environmental findings were that phase one of the project, which is before us for consideration, can function on its own. It looked at the effects and impacts of phase two of the project. But whether it gets approved or not approved will affect phase one, that would be really irrelevant at this point, because what you have before is phase one of the project. If phase two does not get approved, phase one still would function. But whether we the city's process took into account the thought process of phase 2 not getting approved. That was not something that we looked at it that way. We just looked at the environmental impacts of both phases.
Hey,
I don't know if
I'm not
was
sure.
able to answer.
I don't think you're answering my question. My question is, if we think that phase 2 may not get approved, and my understanding is every city that it goes through would have to approve it for it to happen, then are we actually using good enough sense and looking at whether phase 1 by itself is something that we would want to do in and of itself? Yes, it has some value. Does it have value enough that we would do it if we knew phase 2 was not going to get approved? And I don't know if that's a political judgment. Maybe Ms. Hahn can help with this question, since I'm not really getting the answer from our technical staff.
Thank you. Yeah, and I don't know if the representative from Westpac, why don't you just stay, you could stay there and give us, but this certainly, the phase 1 has been vetted through the communities, through the neighborhood councils, so we really, we're prepared to move forward with this today.
Good morning. My name is Ben Thompson. I'm from Westpac Energy. To answer the councilperson's question directly, yes, phase 1 will proceed even if something happens to phase 2. Phase 1 serves a number of airports, including Ontario, which is run by LAWA, as well as airports in other areas. So yes, phase 1 is standalone and is viable by itself.
Thank you. I think that was the answer to my question.
Are we discussing substance?
No, I think we got it.
Okay. All right. Ms. Hahn, you're on the queue again, but you're okay?
No.
Okay. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay. That is approved. Next item, please. Thank you,
Item
gentlemen.
15, called special for cards.
Okay. Item 15 is next. John Walsh is our first speaker.
1 minute. For further information, go to HollywoodHighlands.org. An illustrated blog. This is a trend. More and more alcohol licenses approved by LA City Council equals more and more pedestrians killed by hit-and-run drunk drivers. More and more alcohol licenses approved by LA City Council equals more and more pedestrians killed by hit-and-run drunk drivers. More and more alcohol licenses approved by LA City Council equals more and more pedestrians killed by hit-and-run drunk drivers. More and more alcohol licenses approved by LA City Council equals more and more pedestrians killed by hit-and-run drunk drivers. More and more alcohol licenses approved by LA City Council equals more and more pedestrians killed by hit-and-run drivers. More and more alcohol licenses approved by LA City Council equals more and more
Mr.
pedestrians
President, he
killed
appears
by
to be
hit-and-run
unduly
drivers.
repetitive.
More and more alcohol licenses approved by LA City Council equals more and more pedestrians killed by hit-and-run drunk drivers. Thank you. And you try to stop me.
Next speaker, Michael Carrion. Is Mr. Carrion here? All right. Mr. Carrion doesn't appear to be here in the chamber. Mr. Garcetti, I'd like to recognize you for an introduction.
You want to vote on it first? Do you want to vote on that first?
All right, why don't we do that? Open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Now, Mr. Garcetti.
I also just wanted to make another introduction, colleagues. A friend of our city and an assembly member is here as well, Hector de la Torre. We want to welcome him to the chambers and thank him for being here. Let's give him a round of applause, Assembly Member Hector de la Torre. Sure. All right. I will personally make sure.
All right. Next item.
Item 17, called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh, please come forward to speak. This will be your last minute of the day.
And the way it's going may be the last minute of my life. again, these are special events. It doesn't include the Marijuana Pot Festival that is occurring on Sunday. More and more, these special events, thousands and thousands of dollars. And I will finish by saying, how much money will the LAPD have to spend on overtime on Sunday to police the Marijuana Pot Festival at 5552 Hollywood Boulevard? Thank you. Goodbye. 5 minutes are up.
Mr.
It is
Arnold
not a
Sachs
pleasure.
will be our next speaker. Mr. Sachs, this is your last minute for today. Thank you.
I also believe I have a minute for your closed session item. It's a continuation. I appreciate, Mr. President Garcetti, your corrections regarding the waivers for the Dodgers that will be included in the special event fees. But didn't on Friday you just approve fee waivers for the games coming up this week and next week if they make it to the World Series? Didn't you just waive the fees that they would pay? And regarding overtime, while city workers are on furlough, I don't see listed on any of these special event fee waivers any of the events at Staples Center or LA Live. I believe that those would probably number close to 300 events between the Kings, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the concert at LA Live. And I believe that those officers who worked at, both the police officers and the traffic control officers who worked at, collect overtime. So again, a special committee on the special event fees, and you don't consider the big hole in your head.
Thank you very much. No speakers in the queue. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on this item. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Next item.
Item 20 was being held on the desk for an amendment that has not yet been circulated. Councilmember Parks called that special.
Mr. Parks.
Could we hold that for a minute? We have the circulating amending motion, and so as soon as it's on the desk, as soon as we get it circulated, we can move this item.
All right. Why don't we come back to that item? So we'll come back to that item. Let's go to the next item.
Madam President, that only leaves the closed session item.
All right.
I think we should leave it here.
All right, we're passing out the motion right now, so before we go into closed session, why don't we deal with this item, and then we can go into closed session.
Okay.
Madam President, substitute motion 20 has been circulated.
Okay, Mr. Parks, substitute motion 20 has now been circulated, and I believe everyone has a copy.
With the substituted, just as a clarifying motion, but we'd ask that item 20 be approved with the substitute motion.
All right, there are no other speakers in the queue. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next item.
That would now leave the closed session.
Closed session. All right, so if the officers would assist us in clearing the chambers, we will go into closed session. Mr. City Attorney, if you could give us an admonition.
Yes, it's pursuant to 54957.6 regarding bargaining instructions to a labor negotiator.
Please advise when the chamber is secure and clear, and we are now going into closed session.
There was a wall made of stones. It curved like...
Welcome back. Next order of business, Mr. Clerk.
Council has motions for posting and referral,
Those are posted and referred.
and that clears the desk.
Do you have any announcements, colleagues? Our committees are still meeting on time, right, Mr. Reyes? We still have Plum at 1:30, correct? You still have Plum meeting? at
Yes,
1:30?
so far.
Okay. Any other announcements? If not, do we have any adjourning motions? If I can ask everybody, please, in council chambers to rise for our adjourning motions. And if I could recognize Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sister Margaret Mary, better known as Peg Dolan, passed away. She was an incredible lady at the Religious Order of the Sacred Heart of Mary, Tom, and Loyola Marymount College. Sister Peg Dolan was born and raised in Bronx, New York, after her parents came to the United States from Ireland. After graduating from high school in 1952, she entered the Religious of the Sacred Heart of Mary, a community of religious women. Earning her bachelor's degree in history from Marymount College, she later went on to earn a master's degree in counseling psychology from Loyola Marymount University and a master's degree in applied spirituality from the University of San Francisco. For 30 years, Sister Peg served at LMU Community in various capacities, including campus minister, director of campus ministry, director of Ignatian retreats, and alumni chaplain for the university. Sister Peg has been the recipient of numerous distinctions for her humanitarian efforts. In 1994, she was initiated into the Alpha Sigma Nu and the National Jesuit Honor Society. In 1967, she received the Loyola Marymount University's Barbara Boney Staff Award for her outstanding work as a staff member. Catholic Charities of Los Angeles named Sister Peg Honoree of the Year in 2001 for her efforts to link parishes, schools, and social services, and for the tireless dedication on behalf of the poor. In 1998, she was named Woman of the Year by the Santa Monica Westside YMCA for her leadership and service to those in need. In 2006, the Ignatian Volunteer Corps, a volunteer program for retired persons, awarded Sister Peg the first Madonna Delta Strata Award, which honors an individual whose life reflects the Ignatian values of direct service to the poor and working and educating for a more just society. Sister Peg passed away on Tuesday, October 6, 2009, after a courageous battle with cancer. Sister Peg is survived by the Religious of the Sacred Heart of Mary community, as well as the Loyola Marymount University community. Services will be held on this Friday, October 16th, beginning with a closed casket visitation at 3:30 p.m., followed by a prayer vigil service at 7 p.m., both taking place at the Sacred Heart Chapel on the Loyola Marymount University campus. A private burial will be held at the Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City. And I'd like it to be all members. Please.
All members on that. Other adjourning motions, colleagues? If not, Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll? And we'll next be in session tomorrow. That is Wednesday, October 14th. Have a great day. This meeting of the Los Angeles City Council is adjourned.